Who pays the realtor when you're going to buy a house? A lot of people don't think about that. It doesn't even occur to them. They just kind of think they need a realtor for some paperwork or something. And it's a lot more. I just got asked that question again. A lot of times I volunteer the information just so everybody knows what everybody knows, how both sides of the transaction, meaning the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, even though I'm just working with the buyer, they know how everybody gets paid. And of course, there's a document that you sign before your realtor will even start with you that explains agency and who's getting paid and how they're getting paid and how that whole thing happens, because it's kind of sort of important. So let's talk about the importance of knowing how your buyer's agent gets paid. Let's get into it. So if you're digging on the video, give me a little thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Okay, so you're going to buy a house and you're sitting down with your realtor for the first time and you're going through the whole first time buyer meeting routine, right? And you learn how your realtor gets paid. This is how it happens. So when I go to list a house, I sit at the kitchen table and we talk about all the things that we talk about when people are selling a house. And then eventually we come to the contract. On the contract, we negotiate how much my company gets paid for the company selling the house, Keller Williams, because they get paid and then the agent gets paid. All right. So the contract kind of technically says Keller Williams and Anita Anderson get paid this much. All right. Now, at the bottom of page 1, it says how much the split will be to whoever, as a buyer's agent, brings a buyer to the transaction. Now, sometimes you list a house, like I can list a house and I find a buyer, and then I work both ends. I can legally, technically, and ethically represent both sides. Okay, a lot of people think that can't happen, but in the state of California, it can happen. And I do double end deals all the time, as long as you're separating the right things and the right information and you're not telling the seller the buyer stuff and the buyer seller stuff. You can do a transaction quite easily and smoothly and represent both sides. Okay, so back to the buyers. As the buyer's agent is scrolling through the multiple listing service and they're showing you 4 or 5 houses this weekend, let's just say, they know before they go show you the house, how much they're going to get paid. It says on page 2, 2.5%, 3%. It says right there what they're going to get paid of the 6%. They just know. Do you think a buyer's agent ever shows houses where they're going to get paid more before they show the houses where they're going to get paid less? That's never happened. Anyhow, while we're showing you houses that you want to see in the parameters that you want to buy, we know as agents exactly what our split is going to be. Okay. And you don't have anything to do with that because we get paid from the seller's end of the transaction. All right. I know that once the money transfers from you as the buyer to the seller's agent, they're getting paid, or the house is being sold, right? You paid them $1 million for the house. And I know that I'm getting a certain split of, let's just say, the 6% that was on the seller's contract. I know that straight up. Okay. Now that, let's just make it up. That 2.5% that I'm going to get paid goes to Keller Williams or whatever broker I'm working for. Okay. And then they scoop some off the top, pay the corporate. They do some other things. We have fees for our office. And then the buyer's agent finally gets a check in the mail. This all happens within a day or even hours where the transaction is finished. Okay, so it all kind of wraps up rather quickly. So the money is transferred from you to the seller. The seller's agent, the escrow company, okay, pays the seller's agent, and then the split comes to the buyer's agent. All right, it comes to our company, and then things are divvied out from there, and eventually I get an email that I can go pick up my check. All right, so I already know from the very beginning essentially what the buyer's agents get paid, for example, in Sonoma County. And I know as I'm showing you houses as your buyer's agent, exactly basically what I'm going to get paid before I even go on the road to show you your homes. Now, why do you have a buyer's agent anyway? Well, because it's a windy road and quite a Mount Everest to get to the point where you get keys to your front door. All right. We're out on the front lines. We're up in the industry. We have to take tests and keep up with the 300 pages of contract, which you're going to sign and read along the way. It's a lot of paperwork. Okay. We advise you and guide you and make sure you read everything and dot your I's and cross your T's. We insert addendums and make changes along the way as the paperwork is processing. Okay. But more than anything, our license says we're your fiduciary. We are there and licensed to be agency. We're an agent. We're speaking on your behalf. We're negotiating up on your behalf, and we're protecting you from, let's just say, the seller. That kind of sounded bad, but we're looking out for you in your own interest, for your own interest, as soon as we engage in business. All right. Now, some buyer's agents have you sign an exclusive form that says you belong to them now. You agreed to use just that realtor. Some people like me don't get into contract with you, the buyer, until we make an offer. That seals the deal. That says I have a contract with you when you sign the RPA, the Residential Purchase Agreement. All right. Either way, I become your fiduciary at that point. Even though for 2 months or 2 years, we've been working together. I've been helping you with the lending and helping you with other things along the way to get you all set and ready to go to hunt for houses. And you've been faithful and loyal to me, but technically, I'm not your agent until I hand you an exclusive form, which in Sonoma County, we don't do a lot of. We just kind of expect you to work with us after we've helped you a long time, okay? But as soon as you make an offer and we're both in contract together and we made an offer on a house, that means I'm officially your agent on paper, all right? Prior to that, you can escape and go hire another agent, which happens all the time and irritates everybody in real estate. But that's real estate. Unless I really take care of you and show you along the way that I will be faithful to you, give you clear and specific guidance along the way so you don't fall into any first-time buyer traps or a buyer trap of some kind because you haven't purchased a house in 10 years and you don't know how things have changed. It's my job to make sure you know all this stuff, or as much as possible. Okay. Now, used to be back in the olden days that agents used to do all kinds of stuff for people. They'd go down to the permit department and city hall and look up records and get appraisals done and all kinds of stuff. And there were lawsuits, believe it or not, that agents didn't do enough work for them. They didn't find this little thing in the public records. They didn't do it. It's not our job. It's not our job at all. And our license says so. So we try to inform you along the way, usually in the first conversation we have with you at our first meeting, exactly the parameters of what a realtor does and how along the way I'm going to be tapping in to your wants and needs and where you're going with the purchase of your house and winding you down the road and hopefully straightening the curves a little bit so that it isn't such a crazy thing. All right. And sometimes that process starts a year before you even really start looking because you got stuff to do, like clean up your credit and you're changing a job and you can't do that when you're buying a house. Okay. And you got stuff to do, right? So we're in touch. We have some meetings. Maybe we go lunch together. I kind of keep tabs on you. And then we eventually get down to the down and dirty that you're psyched up to go look for a house, okay? And we're going to actually make this happen. Sometimes all of this happens rather quickly. You got a job, you've called me from another state, and you accepted the job in Sonoma County, and you got to figure out where to live. Well, we can make things happen very, very, very quickly. But the agency part, me explaining this all to you, it'll happen in the beginning of our relationship. And I'll send you off to a lender, or maybe you tell me we already got a lender, we got a loan, we're pre-approved. Okay, so then we're even ahead of the game, right? But sometimes for first-time buyers, you don't even know where to start. You don't know what the heck a realtor does. In fact, you don't even give realtors a lot of credibility. You just think like, we're doing some paperwork and you can't figure out what we do. Well, hopefully in this video, you realize what we're doing for you. We're licensed by the state to take care of you and get you through the process of buying a house. And it's a heavy lift. It's confusing. California has a gazillion bazillion laws and things I have to explain to you. Some things are your responsibility. Some things are the seller's responsibility. Some things we can negotiate, meaning I negotiate for you on your behalf. We do all negotiating on paper. It's not, oh, hi, Sally Ann. So can you give us $3,000 for that fascia that has a bunch of termite damage? No. We have those conversations with the seller's agent. We work things out. We want the sellers to be happy and the buyers to be happy. But my job in the process of working with you is to make sure what you want, you get. And if I feel like you're going down a path that's not going to work out for you, I'll be the first to tell you. If I've seen this not work before, I will give you some stories and some examples so that you'll see, oh, whoa, okay, let's just do plan A. Let's not go to plan B. Okay. So it's my job and every realtor's job to guide you down the road because it's complicated to buy a house. All right. So we are your fiduciary. We get you down the road. We try to make it straight rather than so curvy, although we'll get around some curves as well. We prep you, we psych you up, and we represent you. And we are speaking for you and we're negotiating for you and we're making sure that the paperwork covers your tail. All right. And that you get what you want out of the deal. So with that, that is what a realtor does. We take care of you, we get you down the road, and we get you keys to your front door of your house without too much of a headache and with you feeling secure that all the bumps in the road, you smoothed over them and everything happened the way you wanted them to happen. That's why you hire a buyer's real estate agent. Hey, so if you want more information about buying and selling homes, hit the subscribe button and the little bell. The next video is coming up right there.